Okay, so for day 8 of week 2 of the pantry challenge is going to be leftover day for dinner because I have a lot of leftovers and we are not going to waste them. So first thing we did is we did a meatloaf on week 1. And the meatloaf, I had already done meatloaf recipe, which is on my channel. And a really good recipe, simple recipe. So we have some of that. So we're going to finish that tonight for dinner. And I'll probably do up some potatoes and a veggie with it. Now I also have some leftover pizza. And with the pizza, we used a lot of stuff in our freezer. We did a white pizza with broccoli and onions and all sorts of spices. And it had a pizza dough in the freezer. So we're gonna finish that up tonight. And then yesterday, we had made some sauce, a red sauce, with my tomatoes that I canned from Farm Fresh Tomatoes. And we also had meatballs already pre-made. And I also have a meatball recipe on my YouTube channel. We had meatballs in the freezer, all cooked and ready to go. So we did meatballs, we made a red sauce, and some pasta. So I have a little bit of that left over tonight. So we're gonna have that too. So day 8 of week 2 of the pantry challenge is done. And we'll work on our recipes for the rest of the week. We are trying something new. It's a turnip. I've never really had turnips. And I thought I would try roasting them. So I'm going to peel them. They smell good. They're a little bit different, right? What's the easiest way to peel a turnip? I don't know, because I've never had one, but this knife is not doing the trick. Let's try something else. So I thought to try turnips for the first time. I know some people boil them. You know, I did some research on some recipes and things, but I was thinking just roast them in some olive oil and some spices along with some sweet potatoes. And that way, if we don't like the turnips, we can eat the sweet potatoes. Is that a good plan? That's what I'm thinking. But I hope that I like them. It does smell good. So I'm going to chunk them into little cubes, kind of like that. How's that sound? All right, so I am going to get all of this washed and peeled and spiced up and ready for the oven, and we'll be back. I cut up all my vegetables, and actually your vegetable peeler did totally fine on the turnips. I was surprised. It made it a lot easier. So I am going to preheat my oven to 425. And to season my sweet potatoes and my turnips, I'm going to add some olive oil, and I am going to add some garlic powder. And I'm going to just mix those up. Actually, I should probably use my hands, it'd be easier, huh? Just mix them up, toss them real well. And now I'm going to top it with some rosemary from the garden that I dried. I'm going to put some of that on there. I thought thought that would go really nice with turnips, right? Oh, nice. I hope I like turnips. That would be another thing that I would like to add to the garden if we like turnips. That would be a great idea. Oh, it smells wonderful. I'm excited about this. All right, so this is gonna go in my oven and I'm gonna roast them till they are done. How long they're gonna take, I'm really not sure. I guess I'll check them in about 20 minutes and then go from there. And I'm gonna go see if the girls like turnips. I'm going to check on my roasted vegetables and see how they're doing. Oh, nice. They smell wonderful. They still have a ways to go. Roasted veggies are done. Let's take it out and see what it looks like. Oh, yep, everything's cooked. They smell wonderful. I hope they taste good. I really would like to try one. Can I get a little piece of a turnip? Not too easy to get a piece of turnip. Hold on. This is going to be way too hot. I'm going to be sorry, aren't I? But I really just want to try it. Who likes turnips? Hey, I think I like turnips. Oh, that's good. Oh, I'm very happy. So dinner is going to be some turnips and some sweet potatoes with some pork chops. There is our roasted turnips and sweet potatoes with a little bit of rosemary. Our vegetables are done. And now we're going to bread our pork chops for dinner. Scramble up some egg first. And then we are using our homemade breadcrumbs. And I'm pretty sure I have a video already for that. I think. I'm not sure now. And we have a pan heating up with oil in it. These are bone-in pork chops. You know what's nice about making your own breadcrumbs too, is you can put what spice that you want on it. Second one, sit in the egg for a minute while our oil heats up. Back there is a mess, please excuse it. Been cooking all day. drop a little bit of egg in there and see if it's heated up. Not really. I'm gonna give that a few more minutes and we'll be back. The oil seems nice and hot, so we're gonna go ahead and put this in. Yep, perfect. And get the other one coated. Turn it down some. There we go. Be back when they're all done. All right, for Pantry Challenge day number 9, we are having pork chops from the freezer with our homemade breadcrumbs, and we are having sweet potatoes and turnips, and then we were having some applesauce from the pantry, some beets from the pantry, and some kombucha. We are at day 10 of our pantry challenge. And what we're having today is I had a cabbage in the freezer. So I'm going to cut half of that. And we're going to have cabbage, potatoes, and kielbasa. Kielbasa was in the freezer. How's everybody doing with the pantry challenge? I hope everybody's enjoying it. Let me tell you how good my freezer looks. I'm very excited about this. And also today, I've just taken out a turkey that I had in the freezer. So we're gonna start defrosting that in the fridge. So what I'm going to do is cut some of this cabbage. And it's just going in the pot. I'm going to give some pieces to the girls. Is that enough for the two of us? I think it is. We don't need all that much. Okay. I will save the rest of that. Now what I'm going to do is I have to wash my potatoes. Okay. Hang on. I've washed my potatoes and I'm just going to cut those in half. And then I am going to just fill up my pot with water. Actually, I think I might use a broth. I think so. That'll give it a lot of extra flavor. Right, I got a veggie broth from December 22 that I am going to put in here instead of just plain water. That's going to give this some nice flavor. And then I'm going to, it's not covered, so then I'm going to add water to it. All right, so now I am going to start this on high. I'm going to get this going. And then when the potatoes are almost done, then I will add the kielbasa to it. And that's going to be day 10. And if you take your produce and you wrap it in a tea towel, it lasts a lot longer. Once I tried it and realized how much it saved in produce, I do it all the time. So my potatoes are almost done. Oh, don't forget that the top's hot. Cabbage feels done too. So because the potatoes are almost done, now I'm going to open the kibasi. It's been defrosting in the fridge. This was in my freezer. And if it will let me open it, I don't think it will. Let's see. This is such an old-fashioned dish. I can remember my mom making it. So I am going to slice it up. And basically, it's already cooked sausage. So you just want to heat it up. So by the time my potatoes are done, the kibasi will be done. And that is dinner. Such a simple dinner for day 10 of our pantry challenge. I'm having so much fun. All right. A pea soup. So what you want to do first is take your dried peas. I'm going to measure out 2 cups. And you want to rinse them really well and go through your beans and see if there's anything in there that doesn't belong that you need to pull out. So 2 cups. Then I'm going to quickly look through them and see if there's any, I don't know, who knows what you find in here, right? But everything looks fine, so I'm going to rinse them and drain them. I've rinsed and went through my beans and everything looks fine. So now I'm going to put them in a big pot. And we're going to put enough water in there to cover the beans. And we're going to bring it up to a boil. And then we're going to turn it off and let it just sit for an hour in the water. My beans are rinsed, and I am turning that on high to go ahead and get that boiling. And then once it starts to boil, I'll turn it off and set the timer for an hour. So in the meantime, out of my freezer, I had 2 ham bones. I thought I only had 1. See what's so good about this pantry challenge? Because you never know what's in your freezer that you forget about. So in this pot, I'm going to put both ham bones in. Sure is a second ham bone. Look at that. All right, so both ham bones are going in the pot. So I am going to fill this up with water and I am going to let it come to a boil. I have filled up my pot with both ham bones and I've made sure that the water covers them. So I'm gonna put the lid on. I am going to put this on high just to get this going. And then we're gonna turn it down and simmer. And it's gonna simmer for at least an hour. Probably the longer the better, but a minimum of an hour. And what we're doing is we're making the broth for the pea soup. Going to start getting my veggies ready for the pea soup. And I have onion and celery in my freezer. So I am going to add some olive oil to my pan. Just enough to saute some veggies. I'm gonna throw in, that's probably 1 good size onion. And I'm going to want, I think 2. So I'm going to pull some more onion out. shoot. All right, I have to pull that out because that's sliced onion. I don't want sliced, I want chopped onion. So I didn't see that. We'll put that back in the freezer. I want a good amount of some chopped onions. So that's probably 2 good sized onions. All right, and I also want some celery. This is pretty hard. There we go. How much? I would say at least a half a cup. How does that look? We'll do a little bit more. All right, I would do a cup of celery. And now all we're going to do, oh, I need to get a carrot. We are going to add some chopped carrot. To saute with our celery and our onion. My peas have been sitting in the water for an hour. So now I'm going to drain those and get those ready to go in this pot once my vegetables are sauteed. And my ham bones have been in there for an hour as well. And what you want to do, well, we'll do that. Here are my peas that have been sitting for an hour. And let me show you. See what happens is they start to rehydrate, basically. They've been soaking for an hour. So now I'm going to rinse them and get them ready to go in with my sauteed vegetables. We're going to saute our vegetables. I'm going to turn that on, medium high, let that get going. And our bones have been simmering for an hour. All right, we're gonna take the ham bone out. And what you want to try and do is cut off pieces of ham, the best you can. It's hot. You can let it sit for a while, cool off. And I'm just gonna cut where I can. And basically it falls off though, you know, because it's been cooking for an hour. Watch out for bones. You don't want to add a piece of bone in there. So, let's see. I am not a fat person. I mean, I'm a fat person, but I don't like to eat fat. It's where I'm going with that. That was a good one, wasn't it? So I will be picky and make sure that it's just ham going in the soup. I do not like, you know, a chunk of fat. that is good for this one. Take that out. And get my next, oh, look at that, there's a bone. Don't want that. My vegetables are starting to saute. All right, let's see if there's anything on this one. Here we go, there's some. All right, that does it. So we're going to take that out. And those bones will just go in the trash. I'm done with those. Let's check our veggies. Let's give them a stir. This out of the way. So now what we need to do is we need to strain our broth that the ham bones cooked in. And then we also, I'm going to set this meat aside so I can go through that. And I'll be back. Let me go put the onions and the celery back in the freezer. So I have a handy dandy strainer that has a hook on it. So it goes right on your pot. And we are going to strain our broth. Actually, I think it'll be easier to use something larger, like a measuring cup. Hold on, it's going to take forever. I'm going to turn down my veggies here. And we are going to slowly skim our broth. And then what we have to do is we have to let our broth sit and cool some so we can skim off the fat. That's just better. Like everything stayed on the bones. It doesn't look like there's really anything in there skimming. Let's pour the rest of it in. Yeah. Oh, very little. Nice, 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 nice. That's very nice. All right, now I'm gonna let this sit undisturbed for a little bit to let all that fat rise to the top so I can skim it off before we use it in our soup. I'm probably gonna need that again. Let's see. All right, our veggies are doing good. Gonna let those keep going. In the meantime, I am going to drain our peas. And I'll be back. My vegetables are still sauteing. They're doing well. And here's my peas. Move those over for a second. This has been sitting undisturbed and I don't want to move it But I'm going to start to skim off the top to get fat off. That's looking good. All right, that's looking good. Let me steal a fork and see how our veggies are doing here. Yeah, I'm gonna let them keep going for a little bit. Now we're going to add our broth to our sauteed vegetables. And I think a good rule of thumb is at least 5 cups. It does depend on how much you are making, how much you want, how big of a batch. But I'm going to add 6 cups. Now what I'm going to do is get my immersion blender. I'm going to add some peas to it, and I'm going to blend some of the peas a little bit. I don't want to do all the peas, but I just want to blend some so it gives it a nice consistency. Do you have one of these? Best thing since sliced bread, let me tell you. It is really good. All right, so I'm going to add some peas to it. All right. And I'm just going to give it a little bit of a blend so it makes it a little bit creamier. Whoops, be careful with your immersion blender. I always forget to turn it off before I lift it up. All right, I think that's good. Now I'm going to add the rest of my peas. And if it looks like I don't have enough broth after you add your peas, then you can add more broth. And it does not look like it needs more broth. It looks good. So now what I'm going to add is a bay leaf. That one's a little broken, so I'll add 2. There we go. And you want to add some pepper. And then, of course, as this simmers, you can do a taste test. And you can see if you need to add more pepper, some salt. Now what you need to do is you just need to cover it and let it simmer. Simmer for at least a good hour. And then check your peas for doneness. So I am going to turn it down to low. I don't want the bottom of my pot burning. And then I'm going to keep the broth for right now until, in case I need to add more as the beans cook. And then whatever I don't use, I will put in containers and put in the freezer to have ham broth. And in the meantime, I will go through the ham and cut out what pieces I want. And then when it's close to being done, you add your ham pieces. We'll be back. So first, after you add everything, you do need to bring it to a boil and then turn it down to simmer. This is the ham that I had saved and cut up into pieces. I'm going to add that now. Oh, nice. Nice, nice. See how it's looking? Beautiful. So we are just going to continue to let that simmer. We'll be back. We're going to do a taste test on our pea soup. Even though our peas are not done yet, I just want to see how it's doing. Oh, those peas are hard. But, ooh, it's going to be really good. Yep, those were some crunchy peas. So I'm just going to let it simmer, probably at least an hour, and we'll be back. Delicious. We had it for day 11, and day 12 was leftovers. Hey, so I think, what day is it? Day 14 of the Pantry Challenge, I think. So what I'm doing today, I'll have to check that date. What I'm going to do today is do a turkey out of the freezer. So first what I'd like to do is put a clean plate in the bottom of my sink. And we are going to prep our turkey. I was so happy to be able to do this today. It's cold out, so it is the perfect day to have something going in the oven. Okay, so remove it from your packaging, and I place it on my plate because it's heavy. And what I want to do now is rinse my turkey. You want to open up and reach the inside, and there's going to be things in there. So here's the neck. Oh, she's still a little bit frozen. And then look for a bag in there as well of some other things, and make sure you pull that out. And you want to rinse in there real well. Good. And also open the other end and see if they put anything in there, which I doubt it because there was a bag. And just rinse it and close that back up. Okay, I'm going to switch this out. I'm going to get my pan. So I have my big roasting pan. Let that drain. And put that inside. Wash your hands real well because you are touching raw poultry. Now we're gonna prep her for the oven. Okay. Oh, I need to move my breadcrumbs I made this morning. Get those out of our way. So what I like to do first, start your oven at 325. Get that going. I'm going to melt some butter. Now, on the inside, I normally like to put celery and onion in there for really no reason other than just some extra flavor. Okay. Let me get that butter going. So, now, what I have to do now is I have rinsed the neck. And I'm just going to place that at the bottom along with the other parts that were in the bag. Oh, well, that's not melted. So what I'm going to do is just cut up an onion. And I'm just going to chunk it, okay? Just chunk it and put it inside, just for some extra flavor as it's roasting. And I've melted my butter. And now all I'm going to do is coat the outside with melted butter. Now you want to put your legs back in the plastic part, and that just kind of holds it together. And the only thing, I'm not going to put any salt on at this point, but I am going to pepper it. I'm going to wait a little bit because salt can dry it out, and you don't want that to happen. So I am just peppering it at this point. And that's it. How simple is that turkey? So now it's going to go in the oven. This is an 11-pound turkey, and 11 pounds is probably going to take about 2.5 to 3 hours at 325, and it's going to bake uncovered. We'll be back. So I had already made turkey gravy from Thanksgiving, and I had put a bunch of it in the freezer. I made extra. So I am going to take this out of the freezer and let this defrost for today. And I'm going to go to the pantry and grab a vegetable broth. I think I'm going to put that in with my turkey. So I decided I'm going to do a veggie broth. And I made this in March of 22. And I think I just want to add a broth to the bottom of the pan just to give it more moisture and extra flavor. And we're going to pour that right in the bottom. Perfect. All right, as soon as my oven preheats, it's going in for 2.5 to 3 hours, and we'll be back. Okay, it's been an hour. Let's check on it. And we're going to baste it some. Oh, it's looking good. Look at that. I'm glad I decided to put some broth in here. It's going to add some nice flavor, right? Yep, this is looking delicious. All right, going back in, we're gonna check it in another hour and then we'll baste it again. All right, hour 2 just went off. We're gonna check it and baste it and see how it's looking. Oh, it looks beautiful. And I'm also going to turn it in the oven too. It's getting nice and brown. It might not take the full 3 hours, we'll see. Okay, for this last hour, I'm going to add some salt. All right, and it's going to go back in, and we'll see if it takes another hour. 3-hour timer. Let's see how we're doing. Oh, it's looking beautiful. It's not quite done yet. It's getting close. The little thingy has not popped. Plus, remember when I took it out, it was still a little bit frozen, so that's why it might take a little bit longer than 3 hours. Look at that color though, it's beautiful. Okay, I'm going to give it another 15 minutes and we'll go from there. All right, it has finally popped. You want your internal temperature for your turkey to be 165. And I have this little platter. Hang on, let me see if it will. And I got these little things, they work really good. So I'm gonna pull that out. And picks them right up. Oh, look at that. Perfect. And we also have the gravy already that I had made at Thanksgiving. And you will find that video on my YouTube channel. And here is day. So this was day 13 of the pantry challenge. And for day 14, we had leftover turkey and we made some nice fresh rolls to go with it. All right, this crusty roll recipe is from Heather at the Needy Homestead. This is a really good recipe. I've made this before from her and it's really good. So what you want to start with in your bowl is 1.5 cups of warm water. This bowl already has been used for some bread, so I'm just reusing it. And to your warm water, you want to add 1 tablespoon of yeast. Oh, that one I have oil on it. And to that, you want 1 tablespoon of yeast. I'm gonna let that sit there for just a minute and start to activate. And I keep my yeast in the freezer. I don't think you have to, but I just do. So I'm gonna give that just a few minutes. Oh, it's smelling delicious already. I love homemade bread. So to this, we are going to add 1 tablespoon of sugar. Where's my sugar? All right, and to that, we are going to start with 3 cups of flour. Now you might need more than 3 cups, but we're gonna start with 3. And I'm using bread flour. Here's 1. 2. All right, there's 3. I'm going to take some out just so I have some more in case I need it. So now what I'm going to do is on top of your flour, you want to add your salt because your salt can mess with your yeast and stop it from activating. So I need, on top of my flour, I need 1 teaspoon of salt. And I need 1 tablespoon of olive oil. All right, we are going to start mixing this. Now, once you're all mixed together, you want to get your hands in there and start kneading the bread. I'm going to add some more to the top and to my hands and just start mixing it. It's still very sticky, so that means I need more flour. Add your flour and just keep mixing. And knead it. And I am just going to knead it in the bowl. I know it's a lot easier to flour your surface and knead it on your surface, but whatever you like. I'm still sticky.
Look at that.
But you know, it's fun. Oh, good. We're getting to a good consistency now. Let me get what's on my hands off. Right now, I've probably used about 3.5 cups of flour. And can you see this consistency? See how it's not sticking to me anymore, that's the consistency that you want. And just keep rolling and kneading. Let me see if I can turn this way for you. Can you see? Roll and press down. And as you're doing that, if it starts to get sticky again, top it with some more flour. And it's getting sticky again. So we're going to add some more. I like this consistency. That looks really good. Let me go get this off my hands. All right, so now what you want to do is lift up your dough, and in the bottom of your pan, you want to spread a little bit of olive oil. Push it around, put your bread in, and get some on your bread, on your dough. And then we're going to make that into a circle. Just like that, okay? And now all I'm going to do is I am going to cover it, and it's going to rise for 30 minutes. And we'll be back and I'll show you what that's like. So I do have a bread-proof setting on my oven, which I am going to use. And I'm going to cover my bread, and I'm going to put that in the oven for the half hour. Look at that, after half an hour, it has rose and probably doubled in size. So now we're going to put some flour on our surface, and we're going to start to make our rolls. You want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. I'm just kneading it a little bit, adding some flour to my surface, and then I'm going to shape it into a nice ball before cutting it into roll size. So now I have it nice and round, and I am going to take my little handy dandy pizza cutter, and I'm going to separate it into sections. You want to take each piece and just roll it.
If for any reason your dough starts to get a little sticky, just pat a little bit of flour on it. Once your rolls are all shaped and on your pan, take a little knife or something sharp and just slice a piece in the top of it. So I mixed up an egg and I'm going to add egg wash to each roll. And if you want to, at this point, you can add any toppings that you like. They are ready for the oven. They are going to take about 20-25 minutes, but keep an eye on them. You don't want them to get too brown. These rolls are absolutely delicious, and it was perfect with our leftover turkey and gravy. This is Linda from Homestead by the Lake. Thank you so much for watching my video.